strip that then landed nicely for him as well. I think you make your own luck to an extent. He got himself in position to score and is flying quite high. You know, he scored a couple of good tries the other week against Wigan. One of them was kind of late on and stuff, but it's doing good. The other young player that I think deserves a lot of credit for Wakefield was Corey Hall. I thought he did a really good job in the back row, out of position, skinny kid. You know, I've never looked at him and thought he's a tough player who'll knuckle down in the forwards. I thought, you always look at him and think he's a fast player, he's going to threaten with the ball in hand. But he was outstanding with his tough carries. You know, he weren't doing any carries in space at all in this game. He was just doing tough carries and working hard in defence. You know, I'd have made him my sort of player of the match in this one. Even though Murphy didn't not deserve it, I just was really impressed with a young kid in his first proper full season at Super League level, because you know he's had games for Leeds in the last couple of years, but never really consistently. And to do that, what he did in this game, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, it's easy to give a player man of the match when they've scored 3 tries, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve it either. But...
Yeah, but sometimes scoring the tries isn't the hard bit. But yeah, I mean, other things I would say, you know, Luke Gale, absolutely disgraceful. You drop the ball, you fall on it, you don't drop the ball, then have a little fit about the ball dropping out your hand and let the opposition pick up the ball and run 50 yards. Yeah. Have I lost you again?
No. I was just sort of giving you space to rant about Luke Gale and anything else sort of.
Yeah, well, we took some friends along, a family of Ukrainian refugees who have not been in Hull for very long. They've got a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old son, so they came along with us because they're quite into sport but never encountered rugby before, and they we had a bit of Google Translate as to the rules and things.
It's all right. Our own fans who watch it year in year out need that, don't we?
Yeah. So, but you know, they really enjoyed it. Although I was asked why the referee liked the other team more than he liked our team. So, you know, that's a total neutral who knows nothing about the game. Felt like the referee was giving them more ball than us.
Yeah, I think he certainly obviously missed definitely one big call. I don't know outside of that if I spotted anything that was against what I felt was happening in terms of like things like penalties and 6 against, but I know what you're saying, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely, you know, 2 new fans. And actually, you know, if you can win a couple of new fans at a game like that, you're doing well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you'll have been able to tell the new fans is, look, we're doing it tough, kids. Because, so Jack Walker, he's out for the rest of the season. That means probably his last game for Hull and his loan spell. Certainly, I don't think there's any suggestion that he'll be made permanent next year at the moment. Donnell Mcintosh, he's out for the rest of the season. They both picked up foot injuries against St Helens whilst you were away, Sarah. Manu Mao and Joka Joe Lovadua, they picked up injuries in this game with broken arm and knee ligament injury respectively. Both of those players are now doubts for the World Cup for Tonga and Fiji, their sides. So, you know, and you would have thought they'd have been in and around those squads, so that's a shame for those guys. The World Cup's only, 15th of October, so it's 8 weeks away. You've got to think that those guys are going to miss that tournament if they're proper serious injuries. Broken arm, maybe you can. I don't know about that. Danny Houghton's the other person who's not going to play any further part as well. He picked up a quad injury that's going to rule him out for the rest of the season. So add that to the long list, Sarah?
I know. Yeah, it's looking scary for Thursday.
And Sunday.
Yeah.
But for next year, you are absolutely full to the brim with hookers next year, Sarah. If you didn't think you had enough hookers already in your squad, given that only one seems to get to play, I'm guessing Jordan Johnston must be leaving, because otherwise you'd have... Because you've got so many hookers.
He's going back to Widnes. That's been announced.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, we did see that, didn't we? Because Joe Loverdew and Danny Houghton, they've had options taken up by the players to stay at the club for next year, and Brad Dwyer has come in from the Leeds Rhinos for 2023 as well. So that is quite the bevy of hookers next year. Yeah,
I don't know where we're going to put them all.
I mean, do we now say after this season, after watching him play for Hull this season, Joe Loverdew, rather than being a hooker, is actually a utility player, and so that's how he's used in the squad, and that's probably how he'd be used next year as well. Whereas Brad Dwyer clearly is just a hooker, so Danny Houghton's going to be playing less minutes next year, isn't he? And you're going to have someone dynamic coming on, and then all the several young hookers that you've also given debuts to this year in injury moments, they've got more options to learn from now.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there was talk that, Loverdew would spell Houghton, but that hasn't happened. And then obviously there's been rumours, Loverdew has refused to play hooker and all the rest of it. But then that's where he started on Friday, but obviously didn't last very long. Dwyer's not going to come to not play, is he?
No. Not at all.
So you would imagine...
He's never been an 80-minute hooker. He's never been a player that plays full games. So he's going to be part of a rotation, and Danny Houghton's maybe going to have to just deal with that.
Yeah, which... I mean, earlier on in the season, he was playing less minutes at a hooker anyway. He was maybe moving to second row when Johnston came on. And I think we decided that Johnston probably just isn't good enough. So maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, well, certainly plenty of fun to be had with all the hookers in Hull. I mean, they've got two class hookers over the other side of the city as well, haven't they? So there's going to be plenty of dummy half tries, I think, next year when you throw Dwyer into the mix with Parcell over the other side of the city.
Hopefully.
Let's move on to another game on Friday night. Leeds Rhinos hosting Warrington. It was 24-6 to Leeds at half time. Game done and dusted. Maybe not quite as straightforward as that. Leeds still won, but 24 points to 18. 13,152 was the crowd. Marcus Griffiths was the referee. In terms of the team stats, Warrington lost despite winning the metre stats. They made 274 more metres and a better average gain too. But Leeds made 5 breaks to 2 and also had a better team tackle success rate.
Yep, individually. For Leeds, it was Ash Hanley with 1 try, 8 tackle busts at 135 metres. Reece Martin with 1 try, 6 tackle busts at 121 metres and 4 successful offloads. Mikolaj Alexi with 121 metres and Zach Hardacre with 110 metres. So the losing Warrington, it was George Williams with 2 try assists, 183 metres and 4 offloads. Matt Duffy with 6 tackle busts and 182 metres. Rob Mulhern with 134 metres and Greg Minikin with 130 metres.
It's all right, Sarah. Warrington fans are getting tired of themselves losing as well. David Hunter said, just hapless. Lucky they didn't make Toulouse exempt from relegation.
Yeah, Leighton Rhino says, different kinds of wins, but they all count. Second half a disappointment, although the Martin to Austin pass was not forward, so we should have had 6 more. The team is peaking at the right time. Even Zane is starting to put a shift in. Start believing it's happening again.
Dr. Bob said, almost never in doubt. # grand final calling. That George Williams isn't as crap as the club, though, is he?
The Owl and Fleece said, first, Rhinos were clinical and it almost looked too easy. Second half, Warrington came out firing. Think we'd played 5 minutes in their half for the last 40. Dodgy call on the forward pass to Austin, but good teams win ugly. Some serious determination, flight and resolve in defence in the second half.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that came out of the match reviews and stuff that I read in the interviews from this game is that sort of second half grit maybe for Leeds. In the first half, they scored some nice tries. The support play for the Hanley try, what's he popping up in the middle of the field for? I thought that was good. The offload for in the build up to the Martin try, class stuff. Strength from Gannon for his try. You know, he's impressed the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? In between getting his A-level results, and then a bit of luck for the Tetevano try. If they're crying about a bit of bad luck on a forward pass call that maybe went against them, you know, they got a bit lucky on that Tetevano try with the way that came out in the wash. Although good stuff from Richie Miley getting himself in a position to mix things up a bit. So yeah. You'd have thought it does sound like Leeds did a lot of defending and had a lot of defending to do in that second half and did hang on. So that must make them feel good. But did you ever look down that wire side? I mean, especially their bench, they were clearly looking to the future with some of the selections that they were making. So I don't know, maybe Warrington will also come out of this game pleased that they made the game quite close and competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think, 24-6 at half time, you do think job done, don't you? And then for it to finish that tie, I think that you'd think that they'd be happy about it.
That try right on half time, the Tetevano one from the kick, and then kind of broke for Leeds and they scored. That was a bit of a killer because 24-6 is a winning lead. 18-6 at half time might have been a different story if the second half still went similar to how it did.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say the Reece Martin try, I mean, that's the sort of try that when you looks in, it comes off, isn't it? The pass which sort of was almost anybody's ball, but then Martin managed to hang on to it and just stroll through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what do you make of Leeds at the moment? I've had a bit of a joke about Leighton's comments recently, kind of thinking that this is it. This is a title coming for them. But do we have to start taking them seriously as a threat to St Helens, Wigan, Huddersfield, and Catalans?
I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because they're on a roll, aren't they? And let's face it, last time that they did, they came from lower down, didn't they? And they were on the roll and they won it from, was it 5th?
Yeah, they won it from 4th and 5th, didn't they, back in the early teens, early 2010s?
I mean, I do think that Wigan and Saints have too much, but then when it comes to one-off games, then maybe not so much. They've really come out of the doldrums. When I think about the match Hull played Leeds at Headingley, and they were just awful.
Yeah, well, they lost the first, I think, 5 at home. Then they had the draw against Huddersfield, and now they've won the last 6 at home. So they're in. And they've won 7 of the last 8, so they are the form side at the moment in Super League in many ways. So yeah, a word on Warrington. Looking at the second half scores that they made, it looks like Williams and Wardle have struck up a bit of a partnership for Wire. So it's going to be interesting to see if Wardle gets signed up now that King's moving on loan to Wigan from Warrington next year. He's not staying at Huddersfield, but he's not going back to Warrington either.
Right, yeah.
And Williams short kick for Curry as well. I think that's from what I'm trying to remember, I think that's the 3rd week in a row that Williams has set up a try for Curry with a kick. So there's some things working, especially around George Williams for Wire, that they can look on building to next year, as well as giving these young kids debuts that they've done this week. So, maybe Warrington fans can start thinking it might be their year next year.
Well, they can keep thinking it, can't they?
Couple of injury clouds surrounding these sides. Centre Harry Newman set to risk the rest of the season. We talked a bit about his hamstring injury last week. He's only played in 7 games this year. He did have a hamstring injury that kept him out earlier in the season. This is apparently a different